Alright, so my project is why coral restoration is necessary and how it is accomplished. So, what's happening to corals? In 2005, we witnessed a 50% loss in the U.S. coastal waters of coral. So that's just half of all coral in the U.S. gone. And in 2014, we documented a 27% loss in the world. So that's overall, out of all of our corals, 27% is gone. And this can all be brought to coral bleaching. So this is what coral bleaching looks like, and this is what coral bleaching is. So how coral survives. Coral mainly survives off a symbiotic relationship between the coral and the algae that lives on the coral. The coral provides the algae a place to live, and the algae provides the coral with nutrients and other just kind of beneficial things. But when this relationship fails due to environmental stressors such as climate change, so that the water's getting warmer, or a change in clarity in the water, or a change in water health, such as the pH going up or down, or a bunch of pollution reaching an area, then the coral is forced to expel the algae from it, but in turn the coral loses nutrients and it becomes weaker, more susceptible to disease, and it can possibly die. It's the equivalent to us if our immune system was stripped and then we stopped eating food. So how is all this loss affecting our planet? Well, corals are really important to everything. In the ocean, it provides habitats. The coral reefs support more species per unit than any other marine environment, just any other completely, including about 4,000 species of fish, 800 species of hard corals, and hundreds of other species. They also they support entire ecosystems. They provide habitats for fish to live in, and that just creates entire food webs based around the coral reef ecosystem. On land, they are also incredibly beneficial to humans. They support human economies by contributing to local economies through tourism. So a lot of popular things about coral reefs is they look pretty. So people will travel hundreds of miles to go diving and just to go watch and look at and observe coral reefs. And they also provide millions of jobs, including diving tours, fishing trips, hotels, restaurants, and other businesses based near reef systems. And that overall creates billions of dollars in revenue all over the world. And then finally, they also help us by protecting communities from natural disasters. Coral reefs act as natural barriers to beaches and shorelines from erosion caused by waves, storms, and floods. And this can mean if coral reefs are removed, this can mean natural disasters such as floods and hurricanes, and can cause more damage to human property, and also animal ecosystems by destroying habitats and so on. So without corals, communities all across the world may face property damages, food shortages, or even for aquatic wildlife extinction. So how can we save them? So there are wonderful coral restorationists all over the world working day in, day out to save coral, and they use a lot of different up-to-date techniques to do so. But the two I'll be talking about today are coral fragmenting and assisted reproduction. So essentially what coral fragmenting is they take a piece of coral and they break it up into very small pieces. And what this does is it accelerates the growth of coral. So when you need to replenish the number of corals out in the wild, accelerating growth rate is a great way to do that. So once the corals outgrow the lab, as you can see here, they're in a lab, they take them out into coastal waters near the labs and plant them on growing trees. And once they reach a good size off the growing trees, they take them from the growing trees and put them into the coral reefs themselves, where they can serve their natural purpose. Then the second way, another very effective way of restoring coral, is assisted reproduction. In the wild, coral has a successful reproduction rate of 0.2%. And so when scientists such as people of the organization of Sea Corps go out to the wild and take egg and sperm from brain coral, for example, they take them back into their lab and take that 0.2% successful growth rate and bring it up to a 90% successful growth rate. So that's a huge increase in successful reproduction, which increases the amount of corals that are being put out back into the waters. So all of this is great. We're saying restoring coral is very important, but how much money would this cost? It's a big factor nowadays. So according to a scientist in a Vice documentary about corals, a collective $100 million would create the networks for restorationists all across the world. This would mean basically restorationists can share techniques with each other, share resources with each other, share information. It would allow restorationists to fully restore coral populations, so bring them back up to healthy levels, and will also give corals a boost to become more self-sustainable in the future. One thing that coral restorationists are doing nowadays is they notice while they're out doing research and dive trips that two corals of the same species living right next to each other will have very different reactions to climate change. One coral would be completely bleached and the other would be pretty much totally healthy. So what they do is they take the healthy corals out in the lab and they use those to specifically produce. That way, in the future, all coral, most of the coral out there will be able to kind of respond to the climate change and be able to adapt to it. So all of this is good, but as far as I know, none of us in this room are coral restorationists, and none of us are out there actually restoring coral. So how can we help? Well, there are a few good solutions that we can actually do something about it. One of which being practicing healthier habits for our planet. We pretty much have heard all of these before, like recycling to reduce the amount of trash out in the environment, carpooling and avoiding the use of fossil fuels to slow down greenhouse gas emissions, and so another thing you can do is being informed and teaching others about corals. Coral restoration is kind of a low known topic, so kind of bringing it out there is very important. And then finally, you can donate to organizations dedicated to solving climate change and cleaning the oceans, like Core Ocean. In conclusion, corals are vital to our planet's ecosystems. Saving them is essential to our world, and everybody can help. You don't have to be a coral restorationist to do so. Thank you.